Thank you. Lindsay, a little more skeptical. Hi, my name's Kevin James. What's your name?
My name's Neil Cicierega.
We are two of the ambassadorial faces of Guaranteed Video.
How many words ran through your head before you said ambassadorial?
We're here to discuss the making of our latest short film,
The Sleepwatcher.
Yes, The Sleepwatcher, which you wrote.
I wrote it. You had the idea to make it into a video, though. It was originally just a short story that we had Ryan read on one of our live streams.
Yeah, we have a running gag.
Tradition.
Yeah, where we read scary stories to tell in the dark, written by Alvin Schwartz.
Yes.
Out of the book, live on the internet, on Twitch streams or YouTube video game streams we do. Sometimes even on our big Halloween shows we've done.
Yeah, the two of those that we... Two? Yeah.
And they're not real stories. They're ones that we cook up behind the scenes. You did them exclusively for a long time.
Yeah, and I would print them out, fold them up, and stick them in the book so it looked like you're reading it. But it's just it's like a mockery of the folklore that Alvin Schwartz collected.
For the record, he wrote 3 of those books, and they're fantastic. But It's a great party game to write asinine horror stories and make your friends read them extemporaneously.
Yeah, without
Because if you get into it, if you put your guard down and read it like a really involved crypt keeper style vibe, the payoff of the stupid language is always a deal breaker. It makes everyone crack up.
We can talk about the writing process. We'll go way back.
Sure.
This was it the first episode of Camp Computer Games?
Yes.
So we were launching a new season of our video game streaming thing, and we thought, well we're gonna have it centered around a fake campfire. Let's do more of the spooky stories that we did for the Halloween specials.
If this is your first time listening to or watching anything on the Guaranteed Video YouTube channel, look up the Camp Computer Games stuff. We've made a bunch of those, and every episode has like a bullshit scary story one of us reads at one point.
Yeah, so we were making that a feature. I think it was probably a day or two before I needed a new story for it, and I think I wrote it at a cafe. They're not that hard to write, but it is. You come up with an idea, a synopsis, and then you have to write literally 2 half pages worth of text at 14-point font.
Right.
It's not a lot because you can really relish the performance, and you don't want it to be longer than 4 minutes.
It's easy to sit there as you're writing it thinking, oh, Max or Ryan are really going to kill reading this.
Yeah.
But you have to have a certain amount of punchlines, and you also have to make sure you're not coming up with a formulaic joke. You don't want to keep emulating the same.
Which I've done a couple times, perhaps. But so far, you and Max have submitted extra stories.
Yeah.
But most of the ones we have are back from the Halloween specials. We did 3 and then 4 in those 2 Halloween specials.
Those are so fun.
Yeah, really fun.
But I thought, hey, we really should make a short film in time for Halloween. But I knew we only had a couple weeks prior to Halloween, and you don't want to get the video done too close to Halloween. You want maybe a week between when it goes up and Halloween proper so people can discover it. And I thought, why don't we just adapt one of your stories? And I thought a good way to not just cut labor corners, but a good way to inspire some creative spark was to do it as a series of photographs.
Yeah, you kind of pitched it out as reading Rainbow. They would just show the illustrations from the book and pan around, and it wouldn't be a fully animated representation of the story. It would be moments of the story. I was struggling for a while to find inspiration. What else has done that other than
Drunk History?
PBS, yeah, Drunk History. I mentioned Tom Goes to the Mayor, and you kind of scoffed, no.
Yeah,
but eventually I remembered. The film that 12 Monkeys was a remake of, this French movie from the 60s called La Jetée.
It's half an hour long.
Yeah, and that is just photo stills. It's just
it's
a
fantastic.
montage of photos.
It's all sound design,
and it's all black and white, and that was basically the bit of culture that I was able to put in my mind when we were making this.
Yeah, because the idea came to me and I mulled it over for a couple nights. I couldn't wait too long before pitching it at you because Halloween was coming up. This was early September. I was thinking this through. I mean, we ended up photographing the whole thing in about 3 hours. I checked the time code on the photographs the other night. The first photograph span to the last photograph is about 3.5 hours.
Felt longer because we were getting cold, but it was, it was easy.
But when the idea dawned on me, we should adapt it. We should adapt one of these stories. We had like 13 ready to go. I knew we had the perfect assembly of creative people to make this style of video out of that story because we know some amazing illustrators. Ryan Murphy, our great friend, is a great voiceover actor. He's done a series of creepypastas where he reads genuinely scary stories. So Ryan slots in perfectly. Like, okay, Ryan can do the voiceover. You've wanted to do like makeup work for a long time. Like nothing super ambitious, but just something involving makeup, right?
Yeah.
So looking through that, knowing, Ming and Emmy would want to lend a hand doing some of like the additional artwork this required. It felt like a great group project. It felt like the perfect way to bring in more than the usual 3 or 4 people to the fold for a video.
Yeah. And yeah, I think maybe the idea that it was based on a scary stories to tell in the dark book was kind of gave us the idea of like, oh, what if like parts of the photos were illustrations? What if we mixed in, work from our illustrator friends? I could just wear a bald cap and, my hair could be drawn to make it look a little creepier. And we ended up doing that for certain elements, mostly just my hair, I guess, but it adds a otherworldly quality to the video. Also, doing it in black and white and adding a bunch of film grain to make it look old and dusty was something that I don't think we've done in a long time.
We've been very modern with our application of grain in post. We've had a few videos where we will intentionally go in and add it as a means to glue together VFX work we're doing. Yeah. And that's just something you're supposed to do at that. If you're shooting in 4K, 10-bit color, and you're trying to make things legitimately convincing to the audience that they're happening, like say you're making a flying car video, it's probably a wise idea to put a level of actual video camera grain over the entire piece to kind of solidify it. And there's a lot of post elements to this, whether it's the grain, the camera judder you added, Ming and Emmy's illustrations. Like there's a lot of glue that just kind of consolidates the depth of all the shots.
Yeah. Like I added some blur just in the corners of the image. Yeah.
The first time I told you I wanted to do this was in front of Ming and Corey. Everyone was game immediately. But the real the big decision we had to make was how hard we were going to go on illustrations.
Yeah. Because at some point we were thinking like, what if the whole thing was illustrated and we just like, used photo references, or what if like all the backgrounds got erased and then we drew in? But I think the photos we ended up taking like sold the story perfectly well. You have a nice, wooded area in your backyard that we shot in. The moon was out in full force. Yep. And between like that and like bringing some of your battery powered lights outside, I don't know, we got exactly the vibe we were going for. Really, really fast. Like the amount of like repoing lights and just blocking we had to do on the, I spent a couple days getting the perfect tent for it, which of course was sourced by Ryan Murphy. Ryan had the perfect tent. It had to be big enough that you could get 4 people in it sleeping, but you didn't want it any bigger than necessary because then it would start to make my backyard look too diminutive to fool you into being a campsite. Yeah. I did some like basic landscaping the day before we filmed. I have like a bit of like a grape orchard in my backyard and like a really nice rock wall. It's very earthy. It looks like a state forest. And I cut back certain vines and all that so we could put the tent under and make it look feasible that you were camping and not just in my backyard. It's probably convincing enough. I'm sure some people will realize what's going on. Yeah. The one shot that has your house in it, I put a bunch of fake fog to make it just disappear. Yeah. So yeah, we got our friends Lindsay and Alex and my siblings Ben and Emmy over one night to play the 4 campers. Yep. And while you guys were doing the shots with just them, I was indoors applying my makeup. First time I've ever done that. Sure. My hair is long right now, so I had to like bunch it up under a bald cap, and then cut out holes in the bald cap for my ears, stick on this fake witch nose and chin that I got off Amazon. So it was pretty low rent, but the idea was it's supposed to be kind of a disgusting looking freak, so it was okay if it didn't look exactly smooth and perfect. An anachronistic Halloween ghoul. Yeah. And I have no idea how to like properly blend prosthetics, But luckily, because these were just still frames, I could do that in Photoshop in post. And
you did a really good job with that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I had to, and like, the bald cap has no pores, so I had to kind of figure out ways to like add an artificial grain to my forehead to make it look more like the rest of my skin.
Yeah.
And then half of it will be covered up by cartoon hair anyway, so it doesn't have to look amazing. But
was there any After Effects work in post for this one?
After Effects was strictly just for the grain, the fake film stuff.
Mostly a Photoshop job.
Yeah, mostly it was just Photoshop, and I did all the timing, editing, in Premiere, and then converted that to an After Effects timeline, which breaks a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You think it wouldn't by now?
You think it wouldn't?
They've had a long time to figure that out in Adobe.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing it works at all. But but like, you want to have, if you're imitating old film, you want the crossfades to work like old film works.
The film register to be imperfect.
Yeah, like the dark stuff disappears first and then the light stuff.
Yeah.
You can't just do the opacity 0 to 100%. You have to basically like dip down 2 at once and then combine them. It looks like a janky old piece of 16 millimeter film. It's a little, not overdone like you get with a lot of stock.
Yeah, because it's still a comedy video. You don't want there's a fine line between the medium looking genuinely good.
Yeah.
And that's offsetting the one-dimensional humor. We could probably have gone harder with making it look like vintage photos and stuff. Like we were just talking half an hour ago about, maybe this one shot we should, add just unnecessary Gaussian blur.
Oh yeah, there were a couple of shots where like, this looks too digital, even with all the stuff you've added. So just like make it look a little worse, please.
Yeah, we shot all this. I should get into that. We shot this on a Sony A7 IV, which is a full-frame mirrorless camera. I love the A7 IV. I think we shot this with like 3 lenses, and all of them I put on very weak Pro Mist filters, which are basically pieces of glass with very tiny black specks of ink on them that catch haze. Like it makes the brightest thing in a photo have a bloom to it. I put on very weak versions of that.
And that is one of the things that I added as a final step, is there is like an artificial bloom and haze to all the light stuff.
Yeah, there's probably only a few shots you can really tell that there was a actual glass filter on. Like there's a shot Emmy wanted us to get, and it was a great idea, where you have your back to the campers and you're kind of doing a soliloquy about being sleep impotent or whatever. Most of the video was shot on that with like a 55 mil lens, I think a 16 mil lens, pretty much all the way open at like 1.8.
And did you have a black and white color mode on your camera?
Yeah, I was shooting to 2 SD cards. One SD card was getting like pretty high res JPEGs, and the other card was getting like raw. So if we needed color, if we decided at one point, shit, we should have shot this in color, we could fix it. There was, I went back.
Do the Man Who Wasn't There, the European cut where the whole thing's in color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back a day after we did all the photos, and I shot some actual video, like some actual motion picture clips.
Yeah.
On a slider, a motorized slider, doing some parallax stuff, some really basic rotating about like a focal point out in space.
Last time we did a video that did not involve the slider. I feel like you always work it in.
It's cool.
It is cool.
It's friggin' a text from Chuck doesn't have any slider work.
Okay.
We made that like
I'll
3
have to
months
go back
ago.
and check. But
yeah. It classed it up, and it also was a good way to give some chapters to this like 4-minute story, like a reset button for the humor.
It's only on the external shots where you see the camp, like the next morning this happened.
Well, because it looks genuinely cool, and I feel like
it's like, well, that's part of visual film language, is when time has passed, you have to show the camera slowly moving.
I would go in and I would like stage pieces of wood in certain parts of my backyard. Like I think I took like a 2x4 and put a nail through it so I could stick a little piece of like scrap wood or something, like a tree trunk or whatever I found, just so it would be in the foreground to really highlight the fact the camera was moving. Because I knew that this would only be on screen for like 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. And I also thought the video just, compositionally needed some wider angles, wider space. I was concerned the video would end up being nothing but like medium close-ups of faces for 4 minutes. And that's just not terribly interesting. It's probably fine for most internet humor at the end of the day, but I wanted to flex a bit. So
yeah, we're making a cartoon here. You gotta have some visual variety, I think.
What was it like directing or collaborating with Ming and Emmy on. I didn't touch any of that, like the illustrations they did.
It was fun. I gave them proper forewarning and made sure like they were cool with it. I thought it would be a little more even, but I ended up only having Emmy do just like the extra, like the silhouettes of extra campers, because I knew like if anyone can do a whole crowd in perspective, granted just silhouettes, but like that's like the sort of thing that like she knows how to like get that done without totally killing herself.
Also, you two grew up together. You have very similar styles of humor.
Yeah.
Senses of humor.
Yeah.
So like that's a shot that half the tangible visuals were going to have to be made artificially by her. If there was a person out there who could do that in one take, you know, not need like revisions or notes, like it's Emmy.
Yeah, she handed it back to me like an hour later or something. I was like, gee, okay, I thought this was like the hardest shot in the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I had her do that and had her do some like characters to be behind you and Max in the next couple shots. Yeah. And then I thought like, well, the other thing I absolutely have to get is the hair. And I knew Ming would be perfect for that. She loves drawing hair. She's very good at it.
I figured that would be creatively liberating.
Yeah.
Like that specific assignment. Like you don't have to really get into the color.
You are drawing only the hair on something that already exists.
The more abstract and what's the artist's name? Stephen Gemmell?
Stephen Gemmell. Yeah.
Stephen Gemmell. Like the more pronounced, you know, and non-literal it feels, the better.
Yeah. But what I didn't expect was I thought like, oh, just draw like black strands or something. I figured it would just be one color. She correctly made all the hair white with black shadows. She used two colors and, you know, she did not cheap out with like the shading and light matching that we ended up with. And it looks cool. Like all the shots where I have like backlit, where I'm backlit, you know, like the light pops the way it would be backlit.
If you look close, there's like your silhouette in some shots, like your shoulders. She added like, it's almost like you have hairy shoulders or something.
Yeah, she did some of that kind of, I don't know, like that like stylized lighting that you see in that Ninja Turtles CGI movie from a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
It ended up looking really cool. And you know, if you blur your eyes, it actually looks realistic.
It looks perfect. We lucked out that everyone knew the touchstones we were pulling from. One thing I discovered about our process years ago when we made Beyond Believability, Fact or False, which was a parody of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction, was that you kind of need a subtextual direction. We have a lot of people throwing a lot of ideas in. We have different people present, different days of filming. Completely different hands are going to have a lot of agency for specific shots. Like, yes, I photographed the whole thing, but I had nothing to do with the editing. I had nothing to do with the After Effects and Photoshop work. I had nothing to do with the illustrations, etc. So finding something that can be quietly guiding the whole thing narratively, subtextually, if I'm making any sense here. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was kind of not presently discussed while I was taking those photos, but Ming's illustration style, of course, to me evokes that. And then like the ending credits, which I threw together in Photoshop in a night. I sourced the actual font from Scary Stories, of course, but then I found some photos of old beaten up book bindings and I used those, did some blend mode crap. But I did it from memory. I didn't want to be looking at a Scary Stories book and just do a one-to-one, but I kind of wanted the whole thing to bring that, ooh, this is an actual scary campfire story.
I don't think, you know, like we don't like directly recreate that art style. Like there's no, like he would do like a lot of weird dripping liquid and smoke and like
dried up hairs,
like
overgrown vegetables.
Yeah, I'm not saying we come anywhere close to like what he does, but
even that Guillermo del Toro produced feature film couldn't pull that off.
I know, yeah.
There's some stuff in the movie that looks good. I'm not. Like, but there's like for the most part, like it's a check that's hard to cash.
It is, yeah. I've always thought. I think there probably is animation. People have done animated versions of some of his illustrations and stuff. But like we're not even gonna attempt to do that. But just like the idea that like we're doing something that's black and white and has a lot of just things disappearing into darkness or disappearing into whiteness, and just a sickly looking character who's just roaming about.
It was a fun project to involve our friends in, like knowing how quickly we could put it together. Everyone involved in this project has been so busy the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, we had a wedding. We had, I had two weddings. I had just a lot to do.
A lot to do lately.
Months, yeah.
We're recording this an hour before a big Halloween party I'm hosting.
Yay.
Yeah, anything else we need to touch on? I mean, Corey got some amazing behind the scenes video clips you're probably looking at right now. He and I did all the lighting and grip work really ad hoc, really fast. Like when we went to do the photos, we had a broad process ready. We were like, okay, we'll get all the Neil close-ups first, then all the group stuff, then any one-offs, then any specific camper actor, and then we'll wrap, and I'll come back and do exteriors and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that we didn't forget something really important.
Yeah.
At some point, a little too late into the night, I'm like, I need to make a checklist. I need to like make sure that we get everything, because we're doing everything out of order, and we're kind of banking on the fact that it's a very short story with like specific beats that we need to hit. We could have very easily just forgotten to do something that's crucial, and then I'm not putting that fucking makeup back on. So
going into it, I think you and I talked a few times about, okay, this is probably about 30 photos, because the cadence of the edit shouldn't be too fast. It can't be too slow, but it should be a little slow.
Yeah.
You should drink these pictures in, because like that's going to be the joke. It's like, this is like a quiet, subtle, slow burn piece.
Matter of fact, when you recorded Ryan, you had to do it 2 days, because the first time his takes were pretty upbeat and
too fast.
Just too fast. The edit I did to that clip was about 3 minutes long. And then a little bit later, I had already had like all the shots picked out, and I thought, well, it's easy enough. If we want to do another take of Ryan's narration, but do it slower, it would not be hard at all for me to just like move stuff around and make it match.
Yeah.
So you did that.
Yep.
You got a much more chewy performance out of Ryan, and
he killed it.
Yeah, he killed it. And I think the first idea I had when I listened to Ryan's narration was, I need to add like vinyl popping and cracking to this, and just make it sound saturated and like you're listening to an old, like it's playing off of a see and say, like
akin to the slower cadence of the pictures coming and going, like not being too rapid fire. The formula here is comedy wise, slow and relish. Then like if you're paying attention to what he's saying, it's kind of wait. What did he?
Is this what I think? A situation that's actually kind of a happy
is this a metaphor for what I think it is? Like,
oh yeah.
Like the video is not very textual, I think. So if you're not paying attention, you might not understand that it's even funny.
I suppose. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about one trick shot we did. It's not a very complicated trick shot, but we wanted to do multiples of the Sleepwatcher.
Yes, that's one of the considerations that almost made us decide not to do this video.
Yeah.
But then we realized, like, well, they're all the same species, I suppose, of creep. And we know how to make it. And if we're only doing a still photo, we know how to make it look like there's a bunch of me in the shot.
Well, any child can do it.
Any child. And we need to make them look different enough. Well, the hair is going to be drawn on later, so they can all look different. So we just put the camera on a tripod, and I had you tell me where to stand so that I would have multiple guys not interfering with each other.
We've been able to do this with moving cameras for years.
Yeah.
We studied how to do this with like motorized robotic camera rigs and stuff. So doing this was easy breezy, but to ensure that we didn't screw it up, I hooked up my iPad wirelessly to my camera, and Corey and I would like instruct, like, okay, Neil, you can stand A, B, C. We like broadly marked with like leaves and twigs, like creep A, B, C, D, and E will go here.
Yeah.
And we would just trigger it with the iPad. And the iPad gave us two necessary perks. One was a big monitor to allow us to like drink in where you were and making sure you wouldn't occlude too much. You'd be able to read your faces. Obviously, you're going to go Photoshop yourself around and, you know, mask yourself in. But it also allowed us to not disturb the camera. Triggering a camera without physically pressing a shutter means you don't move the camera, which is important for this kind of work.
You'd think it would be easy to press that button, but no, it always wiggles a little.
You want to do it wirelessly.
Yeah. So we did that, 2 shots, and worked out perfectly. You'll really believe that there's a bunch of those dudes.
I love Ming's She kind of projected some character on to each of these creeps. Like each creep feels like a different flavor of creep.
You said they were like the Mogwai.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Just different enough.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. We did it. We made a unique little piece of art.
Yeah, we did it with a lot of awesome friends of ours too. That's like the best thing about this one is.
Yes, I'm so glad. Emmy, Ben, Alex, and Lindsay all have great acting faces.
Yeah.
It helps that most of them are cartoonists and probably, and Ben has definitely had to like pose for a lot of photos for Emmy for reference of weird faces.
Because Emmy does storyboarding for animation.
Yeah, and Lindsay and Alex do animation, direct animation. They know how to animate their faces.
Emmy and I were kind of on a similar curve the night we did all the photos because we only had so much time before people would crap out and be too cold and not be able to do it anymore. We didn't want our friends to get mad at us.
Yeah.
So I was in the back of my head the entire night thinking, how much time am I allowed to move these lights to make this look a bit better? Like I wanted light pouring through trees and I didn't want the tent to look like it was just on a black blob of a background. So I was constantly moving lights in between photos to get things as close as possible. Not perfect, but better, right? And there was a few occasions when we were framing up where Emmy could not have her storyboarding cap on.
Yeah.
And she had to like beg for one or two shots, like just put the camera there, do this. Like she didn't realize how quickly, I think how ad hoc the whole thing was going to be.
Yeah.
And but it all worked out. Like I feel like everyone got their fingerprints. On this one.
We all did. I think you did a good job of not micromanaging all the shots too much, knowing that we did have to move, keep it fast. And it ended up looking really good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with this one.
We have good friends.
Sleepwatcher.
The Sleepwatcher.
Sleepwatcher. Oh, we were joking earlier. The sequel will be called The Feet Watcher.
Yeah, there's that old story of James Cameron going into 20th Century Fox to pitch his sequel to Alien. Mm-hmm. The story goes, he walks into a room and there's a whiteboard and he writes the word alien on the whiteboard. And then he writes S at the end and makes it a dollar sign and everyone claps. I love
That's the Feet Watcher?
That's the Feet Watcher. Is like, oh, I can make another Sleepwatcher. That'll make you way more money. The Feet Watcher.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, folks.
Happy Halloween.
Woo.